Now, there were a few areas that I could not talk to Herb about, I found out. One was politics, two was any generation younger than him, and three would be any rules that he did not want to heed in the community. Other than that, we could talk just about anything you can imagine, gets in some very interesting depth. Herb had one other passion. He loves Frank Sinatra. In fact, he started trying to force Frank Sinatra on me, first with LP records, and then with CDs, and then with MP3s. He must have 7,000 recordings of Frank Sinatra on his MP3 player. And there was one other area where we had kind of a difference of culture. Very early on he said, "Brent, would you like to go with me to the Schvitz?" Now, I had no idea what he was talking about. I'm sure I had a quizzical look on my face, and he said, "You know, the bathhouse." Now, I grew up in Kansas. I grew up actually in Topeka, Kansas, the mental health capital of the United States. I'm absolutely sure that we do not have a bathhouse in the entire state of Kansas. So in my mind, I'm going bathhouse, San Francisco. Bathhouse, San Francisco. But Herb was persistent. Every time I'd see him in the yard, he'd say, "Well, when are you going to go to the bathhouse with me?" Or the Schvitz. And I would always figure out convenient excuses. Now that was phase one of our relationship. Let's say it was the first 5 years. He would hit me up every time I saw him, and I would tell him no. It got to the point that he was starting to question my masculinity. I mean, real men have nothing to hide at the bathhouse. So I kept trying to avoid this topic. But then we went into phase two. Phase two involved her getting into some very graphic discussions about what goes on in a bathhouse. Now, it kind of goes like this. A group of naked men get into this room together. It fills up with steam, hotter than Hades. And then there are two types of people. One is the bather, and the other is the bathee. Now, the bathee will get up on like a ledge. The higher up, the hotter. The bather gets this mop-looking thing, and the goal is to get it as soapy as you can possibly get it. He pointed the soapy part out very graphically. And then he said, the bather slaps this on the bathee and starts cleaning every crack, crevice, crack, cranny. Anyway, the goal is to get the bathee cleaner than that person has ever been in their lives, and you can imagine that's a pretty historic occasion. We went from there into phase three. Now, Herb started getting in some very graphic descriptions of the denizens of the bathhouse. For example, a 95-year-old gentleman, I don't know how I kind of framed this for Toastmasters, but he got a prosthesis. Now, this prosthesis worked all the time. 100% of the time in the bathhouse, the prosthesis was working. And to my enormous relief, Herb said that the prosthesis made he and the other gentleman in the bathhouse a little uncomfortable. Some of you may remember that a couple of years ago I had the privilege, if you will, of debating our former governor on PBS on a show called Colorado State of Mind about the future of health care. And I was on the Greg Dobbs show, Colorado State of Mind, and I thought that was a really cool thing to have done. So the next day, I'm outside in the alley behind my house, and I say, "Hey, Herb, how you doing?" Now, I know that he watches the Colorado State of Mind all the time. So I was expecting some love. I was expecting him to come up to me and say, "Brent, great job. You really kicked some, you know what?" Well, Herb approached me and he said, Do you know I gave the governor a bath? At that point, I learned everything I did not want to know about Richard Dick Lamb. As you can see, there was some cultural conflict that's never seemed to get resolved over 15 years between Herb and me about the bathhouse. But about a week ago, Herb's 80th birthday was a momentous occasion. Having been, and still hopefully am, a Toastmaster, it was my turn to get up and toast Herb. And so I said to Herb, you know, Herb, we've known each other for 15 years. We've had many excellent conversations about cosmology, philosophy, sociology, the theater. You're a brilliant man. So from my heart, I want to offer you a wish. If I could move mountains, if I could fold time, if I could make anything possible happen, I would wish you this opportunity, Herb, to give Frank Sinatra a bath.